Happy drawing class. I wanted to give you guys some helpful tips and tricks with shading your bag at home. Some of you guys are starting this already and ready to get going, so I just want to make sure that everybody has the assistance that they need to get moving on. A couple things we talked about last week was this correct curve of a bag. Make sure that you have that curve and actually have that buckle going down right there so that you have that kind of turn of the bag in a way that gives you an edge. One thing that I watch out for is outlines. Okay, make sure you watch those outlines. If you have an outline, then you all of a sudden define your value. So if your line is light, you define the value as light. If you have a very strong outline and it's dark, then you have set the tone of that surface as dark value. So be very careful of that value tone when you set that value and that outline. For example, if I shade, if I have a strong line right here, that shows up a lot more than this light outline. That also means that if I go to shade, what might end up happening is it might appear as though I have a cartoon outline. I could even shade over here. Just because I shade that surface does not mean that I've done the job of creating it to be 3D, because right now it looks 2D with that line showing up, that cartoon line. So you have a couple options. You can shade this darker behind that or in front of it, or you could erase that outline and go softer on that line. For this situation, I'm going to go ahead and just shade that a little bit darker and make that outline disappear. As I shade, I'm going to go ahead and shade this going up, doing a little cross hatching. I'm going to pay attention that this might actually get really, really dark back here and slowly drift outwards. Now, as I shade, my outlines have disappeared. I no longer have an outline here. I no longer have an outline here. And I no have an outline there or there. The outlines still exist here. Let's go ahead and shade. So those outlines disappear when you place value next to them, and your shading becomes the priority and the outline disappears. That contour line is no longer there. If the outline stays and you need to get rid of it, then you actually need to get rid of it, erase it, or hide it with your value. I'm going to just play a little bit with value. As you shade this, you may notice a couple things. That outline might be hard to hide, and this all becomes a dark gray. What I'm going to do is take an eraser, and I'm going to pop out a little highlight right here, kind of like that reflective light. I'm going to clean that up a little bit. And that is a light shining on the edge of that bag, giving me the indication that that bag kind of turns and pops away from that shadow behind it. This line back here, I can't have, but what I can do is shade behind it, which is why it's important for you to shade this bag and add a background shadow to your surface. And that's going to go all the way down. So what you're going to notice is that bag edge is going to completely disappear. Now let's say that I have a crease right here. Let's go ahead and make a little crease. And there might be a little highlight here. So that little paper bag might kind of bump in and out right there. As I shade this, I'm just going to kind of mess with that value. Just kind of make it slowly disappear. Now be careful, you don't want that bag to disappear with your background. So you have to decide what's darker, the background or the bag. In my situation, the background is darker. When you are doing this, please make sure that you're watching your bag, not just making this up. Please make sure that you are trying your best to make the two connect and that you turn in both the picture of your bag and the drawing of your bag at the end of the week or at the end of the lesson, okay? So that's kind of how to make a little crease right here, and that crease might slowly fade. I'm just going to use my pencil really, really lightly here. Kind of go like that. So I've shown you how to create the edges of the outlines to disappear. using value to play against each other and pop out, showing how to use an eraser to create highlights, how to create these little creases here. I'm going to add a little shadow here too, little folds and ripples in that paper. All right, good luck, and I'm looking forward to seeing your guys' bags finished.